This is a film study look at Ravens defensive back Jalyn Armour-Davis, 26 years old, in his fourth season out of Alabama. Suffered a number of injuries throughout the course of his professional career. He was moved around a lot in Thursday's preseason opener against the Colts. Showed some high-level awareness, some route awareness, if you will. I think he kind of hesitates on one route where he's probably unsure. Like, wait a minute, is it this easy? Do I actually know the route this soon? I think he played quite well. Whether he was matched up against A.D. Mitchell, Ashton Doolin, or trying to match a tight end's route as a nickel defender. That's the thing I like about what Zach Orr and the defensive staff did with JAD in this one. They moved him around. Boundary side corner, sometimes on the left, sometimes on the right. They gave him a ton of things to handle, to work on, and get film of. It could be that Orr and the defensive staff want him to be able to plug in anywhere at multiple locations if someone is injured, or for 8, 10, 12, 14 snaps a game, depending on the situation. He looked up to the task against this level of competition, at least. We'll get the film started here, and I'm focusing on 8 particular plays for JAD in this game, some of which he's not targeted, and then 2, talk about Mike Green's unique coverage awareness and ability later on in the contest. This is a first possession. He's actually not targeted here. He's on the bottom side of the screen. You basically got an in cut. The reason why I'm showing you this one is file this one for later. You saw a lot of these types of routes where there's a little bit of space possibly for the quarterback to try to fit this in with JAD trailing behind. Like I said, this is first possession, and also take note of the route that's up at the top of the field. A.D. Mitchell wins on this first down against T.J. Tampa. Now, it's different than the situation I'll show you later in the game when JAD is matched up against Mitchell. It's a third down at that point in time, but it's a conceptually similar type of route. Basically, Mitchell is trying to threaten or take you down the field with a vertical, put his feet into the ground, stop, and then come back for the football. Get the film. Let's get the little bit of JAD analysis going here. This is a 3rd and 7 on that same first possession. It's going to be targeting, I believe it's Doolin. A little bit of a stack wide receiver alignment here. The orange route is the one that JAD defends. A little bit of an in cut later on, I think, is being matched by Bilal Coney. Really nice undercut by JAD. Does he have elite burst and acceleration? Probably not, compared to starters all across the NFL. The top 15 to 20% of DBs across the league. But he's able to close down on this one. Anthony Richardson still in the game, has an incredibly strong arm. We know that. JAD gets himself a PD. I think he had 2 on the day. One of 3 Ravens players, in fact, that had 2 passes defended. Moving forward to the third possession here, Richardson is gone at this point. JAD is moved over to the nickel position. Now, this is going to be the sack that's credited to Adisa Isaac. Forgive me if there's too many colors there. Feel free to let me know if you think so. Basically, we've got a mesh combination. The downside tight end, Warren, his route is illustrated in orange, a low drag. The number 2 receiver from Trips, also a drag. I think he takes the high side drag. And then the number 3 receiver, illustrated by the yellow line. He could sit down in the middle of the field between the hashes. He could bring that thing back to the other side, depending on the running back's release and how the corner safety tandem react. Sometimes it's a read, sometimes it's hard-coded. In any case, JAD doesn't end up with anything really to cover here. You can see what he's sitting on. He's hoping that he gets that route to Warren, the low side drag, as I referred to it earlier, the high side drag coming from the other side. JAD does a nice job of peeking outside initially to see what he's got with number 2 disappearing. So I think he's probably checking to see if he's going to get dual slants here or dual in-breaking routes. Perhaps it could be something else that's game plan specific, but flashed with his eyes to the outside. Mike Green won on this pass rep, and then Isaac, you can see his arm is all over Daniel Jones. He gets credited for the sack. Take note of where he's lined up. I should have illustrated or discussed the illustration that's in the middle of the field here. The blue line, the ball is in the middle of the field. The last couple of plays, the ball is on a hash, which we know is where the ball typically ends up being spotted after most plays in the NFL and really all levels of college football. He's playing corner to the right here. He's actually not targeted, but he's on the right-hand side of the defense this time as opposed to the left side that you saw early on. And I think this is the route that he identifies really early. You can see his body posture here, like, okay, I know where this is going, but he doesn't necessarily commit. Jones is looking there, in fact, doesn't end up targeting that side of the field, goes to A.D. Mitchell up the top side of the screen, severely underthrown. Obviously, there is defensive tackle pressure right in his face, so he can't really step into the throw. Another one of those in-breaking / deep over routes that JAD was trying to keep up with and or undercut if he was the targeted receiver. This is the one that I would compare to the completion to A.D. Mitchell against Tampa on the other side from earlier. Very similar route, except it's not tucked right up next to the sideline. This is a 3rd and 10 with the ball in the middle of the field still. A deep comeback route where Mitchell is kind of threatening some type of vertical, but you can see it's not really an instantly fourth gear release by Mitchell. He's kind of gearing it and then trying to lower his pad level here to make it look like he's going to take off. JAD does a nice job of getting that right foot in the ground, coming back downhill, latching on a little bit to A.D. Mitchell, gets himself a pass defensed. Second one already, and we're only into the 5th possession. Sixth possession here, he's actually targeted with the ball on the left hash. He's on the right side still, a boundary side corner, if you will. The Ravens utilized, first of all, the Colts used 3 to the boundary a ton in the game. So what I mean by that is tight end, running back, and Z, or a receiver, set to the boundary. 3 receivers to the boundary and 2 to the field. The Ravens often countered with this setup, especially in third down situations, even a couple of second and longs. Basically, Simpson lined up over the tight end. Everyone else mugged up to threaten the blitz, safety corner combo into the boundary, trying to match those 3 and clear Simpson up basically from being able to be picked. I suspect that if the running back was to flash to the flats like this, that Simpson would peel off and take him, and then this edge rusher knows he's pretty much one-on-one with the left tackle. There's the route combination. It's Doolin on a 3rd and 14. I like the JAD is the leverage he's got on the inside, number 1, and then keeps his eyes on the quarterback. He seems to be very adept this season at looking back to the quarterback at the right time. And again, you've got this kind of like geared route release by Doolin, not in 4th gear at all, and ends up being an overthrow on the play. JAD didn't really have any need to try to get a pass defense because it was an uncatchable ball. One more time, ball on the left hash for the offense, JAD into the boundary. Same setup, except now the running back is set to the field. So Simpson's going to jam the tight end, corner, safety combo down into the boundary, running back set to the field on the opposite side of the previous play. This is a tackle on an in cut. I believe it's Gould on a 2nd and 10. We're into the 7th possession now. Able to put his right foot into the ground, plant, and then try to burst to get downhill. It ends up being an 8-yard gain. The Ravens did get a stop on the ensuing play, a 3rd and 2, where I believe TJ Tampa was targeted up at the top side of the field. Now on the left-hand side of the defense, but once again into the boundary, and you get this in cut. This is Treadwell, the former Ravens wide receiver. Actually had a big catch in this game Thursday night, 2nd and 9. Really exceptional play by Martin, the UDFA inside linebacker, dropping out from a mug look. You can see we've got everybody up on the line. Buchanan, the other inside linebacker, is locked up on the tight end, at least from a pre-snap alignment standpoint, and then he blitzes to be replaced by Martin. This is really a exotic cover 3, if you will. It's not a basic cover 3, meaning you're not playing the underneath the second level coverage area that you lined up in. The Ravens started using this a ton with Mike McDonald in 2022. It's just a way that I think you can get to a somewhat different look, but do it in a safe manner. You're getting a 4-man rush. Inside linebacker Buchanan, and then the edge defender Green. This is very similar conceptually to what produced David Ojabo's sack or hit on Anthony Richardson early on that knocked him out of the game. Then the boundary side safety is dropping down. Martin is working to hook to curl. Ojabo and the curl flat defender look like they're kind of sandwiched next to each other. They really shouldn't be that close to each other. Talking about here, but really this is just a cover 3 with 4 underneath droppers, deep thirds for those 3 guys. You can see there's definitely separation for Treadwell to make the catch. On that in cut against JAD, he's kind of lagging behind. Fortunately, Martin was able to get a pass defense. I will refer to it as an insert drop cover 3, but there's multiple names for it. The final play I'll show you, really doesn't focus on JAD much at all. The what I think is remarkable here is how good Mike Green is, not just athletically, from an explosive standpoint, his technique, his pad level, he's really low in his rushes, but dropping out in coverage. I love the fact that he turns his head and looks at the receiver, and in this case, jams the tight end, expands him, shows some physicality. Yes, there's certainly a lot of room for this tight end in between the right hash and the top of the numbers for the quarterback to get him the ball. From the end zone angle, you'll see Green actually gets in the window. He may actually be off screen for us a little bit. This is the pass defense for, I think it's Peebles here, 93. The defensive tackle kind of looping around on the left. 3 deep, 3 under. Green's drop is lower, has less depth. It makes sense, right? He started at the line of scrimmage, and then he wheeled out to jam the tight end and then drop out into the flats. Same play from the end zone angle. Green, we've pretty much finished analyzing JAD's play here. I'll talk in summary manner about him here in a moment. But the jam occurs directly where the quarterback is looking. It's off screen to our left. There's Green's feet. And then he's going to settle underneath of the route, underneath the tight end, while his eyes flash back to the quarterback. Peebles is the guy, after Buchanan's showing incredible effort, Peebles is the guy who elevates to get the pass defensed. You can see Green kind of flash here. I love all the stuff that they're doing with Green. I'm not going to say that I didn't think he could do these things, but I feel like it's just an added benefit that makes that selection late in round 2 all the more remarkable, to get a talented pass rusher, a guy who's really good against the run, super strong, plays with a great pass level, also very technical, who can drop out in pass coverage. It seems borderline unfair. From a JAD standpoint, to just evaluate this game as a single marker, did he show elite burst and acceleration? No, not really, but he looks fast enough for what he faced on Thursday. Depending on who he was matched up against in a regular season. I think we could go out there and put him on the field occasionally to spell other guys. We do have great corner depth, and I do want to mention once again the fact that they moved him around, exposed him to the nickel position a little bit. Makes me wonder how often we're going to have a dime look whereby JAD may be on the field, or it sounds like from what Chuck Pagano said about a week and a half ago, Awuzie has spent some time as a dime linebacker as well. Just more versatility being offered to this defense, to the secondary, I should say. I do think that based on the latest film that's available, right, dealing with two starting quarterbacks, 2 guys with starts in their history, let's put it that way, Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones, and some pretty good receivers as well. JAD came out of this looking quite competent and versatile and smooth in coverage. He was competitive on his routes, had 2 passes defense, so did TJ Tampa. The UDFA inside linebacker, Jay Higgins, had a pick, 2 other passes defense. He's a very interesting player that I'll have another video to come out possibly late Sunday night, maybe early Monday morning. JAD is the topic here. I gave you, I think, 10 plays overall, 8 of them for JAD. I'm really impressed that he would come back in his 4th season after all the injuries he's dealt with the type of focus to try to work himself onto the roster A and on the field B. The nickel alignment is interesting to me, but really only in passing situations. Marlon and Kyle Hamilton are so spectacular as nickel defenders against the run and the pass that those are the guys I would prefer to see out there more often, especially on 1st and 10 or against some of the heavier personnel groups that we see. You're welcome to let me know if you weren't as impressed by JAD's play as I was. I thought he looked clean, thought he looked decisive. Certainly not an A++ athlete for NFL corners, but good enough to get the job done, at least against the players he faced on Thursday night against the Colts. I appreciate you guys' time, man. If you enjoyed the content, please let me know in the comment section. As you know, comments and likes drive or fuel more engagement, fuels the video being pushed out to larger audiences and helps us, who are content creators, kind of generate more revenue. So if you enjoyed the content, please consider one of those options, or grab a link to this video, share it out on social media to help this content get pushed out to a larger audience organically. Appreciate you guys' time.